So as ELA teachers, one of the common things that we experience is this mentality or this idea that there's no technology available to us. That technology tends to lean heavy in the STEM world. And while there's an element of that that's truthful, there are so many incredible resources that we can use as ELA teachers. So what I've learned over the years is sometimes you will have teachers, especially ELA teachers, who are hesitant to incorporate technology because they are afraid that basically the student is more tech savvy and will outperform the teacher, right? On the other hand, what I see more commonly is not that idea of being outsmarted or outwitted by our students, but instead that there's a lack of information. So simply put, English teachers are not aware of the technology that is available to them, and they're also not aware of the level of technology that is available to them. So what I basically did is I targeted some really powerful tools that can be used in an ELA setting. Some of these tools can be used in a general setting. So if you teach math, science, history, you're welcome to use any of these. But they very much were chosen through the lens of an ELA teacher. So the first thing I did was give you these 3 websites that are just easy to implement in your classroom. If you're not already using these are great tools, great sources for you. The first one on the left over here, this is Kami. And basically what Kami does is it allows you to upload PDFs or images, and then you share it with the student. It works through your LMS, so in our case it would work through Google Classroom, and the student can edit the document. What's great about Kami is not only is it one student who's able to edit it, but they can collaborate with their peers, and it will allow the educator to keep up with the commentary that's happening. This is a great program to use if you're teaching your students how to annotate online. It has content where you can add feedback. Students can give audio feedback, they can do video feedback. It's a fabulous resource. It saves everything to your Google Drive. If you are not using Kami, I absolutely 100% encourage you to do so. Kami alone will revolutionize the way that you're teaching in the ELA classroom. The middle one that you see here is Quill. Quill is great for ACT prep, grammar, mechanics. It's easy to use. It's free. There's a premium option where you can upgrade it. But basically what it will allow you to do is create synchronous lessons. These are great for bell work. It's great for homework if your students need practice on fragments or run-ons or sentences. They do a diagnostic in the beginning, and so one of the things that I really appreciate about Quill is that it's able to go through and create paths for individual students. So it's not a one-size-fits-all option. Instead, it works with individual students' needs. On the far right, this is Newseum or News ELA, however you decide to read it. Basically, this is an online tool that provides up-to-date news articles and content. But to take it a step further, what they do is they pull these articles and they adjust them to different reading levels. There are 5 possible reading levels. So if you have a low reader, a struggling reader, maybe you have a student with an IEP who's coming in on a 4th, 5th grade reading level, they can all work on the same article, but the article can be adjusted to allow them easy reading comprehension. It can also be set to allow them to progress and show growth. So maybe if they're on the 5th grade level, you can set it on a middle school level where it's going to still have that challenge and that rigor, but they're not coming in and approaching a text that's at a 12th grade level. They incorporate comprehension questions into the articles. So that's definitely something that you could take a look at. And there's also a writing piece. So this is a really great way to expose students to current events, to be able to accommodate to various learning levels and reading levels, and also to be able to continue to assess those comprehension questions, get some of that test prep in there, and collect data on the students so you can pinpoint which standards are students struggling with in particular. Now, one of the things that we push a lot in ELA is research. And so what I did is I went and identified 4 key websites. You will notice at the bottom of each of these, there is a blue bar. This will bring you directly to the website, so you can go check it out for yourself. ZoteroBib is basically a free service, and it allows you to quickly do bibliographies and citations. It doesn't involve having to sign up for anything. It's very quick, very user-friendly, and it'll allow them to differentiate between MLA, APA, etc. Great website. Absolutely encourage you to take a look at it and introduce it to your students, because it's one of the top research engines right now when it comes to citations. Diigo is a gem. Diigo is an absolute gem. It is an extension. It's something that I started using in grad school, and it has absolutely changed my life, and I absolutely wish I would have known this when I was in high school. So basically what Diigo will allow you to do is you can go through on web pages. You can actually pull up your articles, pull up your research. You can highlight directly on the page. You can add sticky notes. You can annotate. And the beautiful part about it is it saves it all into this really nice document. So gone are the days of having to make note cards. Gone are the days of having to make these crazy outlines or try to keep up with all your research. It literally compiles and curates all this research for you. And in the future, if you pull the article back up, the highlighting is still there. I noticed that the other day. Great resource if we're going to have our students do major research projects. Give them this tool. This is something that they can carry on into higher ed. The Mississippi Magnolia Research Database, this is something available to Mississippi teachers and students. So basically all you have to do is go to your school librarian and ask for the access code, but it is an unlimited amount of information. So this is basically our research database. If you're doing research with your students, absolutely look into Magnolia, introduce them how to use it. It's a great way to take them through the different resources that are free to them as Mississippi students. The last column on the far right is the Newseum Ed. This is a fabulous website if you are a history teacher or an ELA teacher and you are looking for periodicals for students to look at. You're looking for historical research. They have everything from newspaper clippings to speeches, the works, anything you can imagine. It's split up by historical time periods. So if you're doing something with World War II, students can go and look through ample artifacts available from the Newseum Ed. So it's a great website. They also have some lesson plans that are aligned to the Common Core standards, but this is a really great piece for primary sources. And looking into some virtual programs, I also saw in there where you can kind of do a tour almost as if like a virtual field trip. Remember, one of the key things we've been talking about is when it comes to technology, we want students to create. And so what you'll notice here is I've given you 4 different websites that allow students to create artifacts. On the far left, we have EduBlogs. This is something, this is new, it's trending. Maybe it's not necessarily new, but it's definitely trending. It's an easy thing that we can incorporate in our classrooms that will allow our students to collaborate and communicate with one another about their learning. I think a key thing to remember about blogs is they are used so frequently in higher ed, and so we really need to start incorporating these types of things for our students to allow them to experience it on the secondary level. EduBlogs is great. We can create it as educators and we can control a lot of the content, but we can also encourage students to create their own blogs as well, and allow them, you know, the opportunity to kind of get their hands dirty. Google Sites is a beautiful tool. Basically, it's a structured web page design. It's connected to the Google Suites. It is a great piece of digital tool. I don't know how else to say it. Everything you're looking at right now was created in digital Google Sites. And so because we run through, the school district runs through Google Suites, you have accessibility to this. I absolutely encourage you to look into it. It's user-friendly. It's easy to use. It's a great way to create a portfolio for students so that they can continue using their resources over the 4 years in high school and beyond. So it's a great way for them to have access to all of that information. Animoto is a digital tool which lets them create professional clips. If you notice on my national standards page, that was designed with Animoto. It's a free product as long as it has the branding in the top corner. You can pay to have that removed, but in most cases it's not an inconvenience. The thing I like about Animoto is you can create a short and simple video, but it's also very easy to use with templates pre-made, and it looks professional and clean when it's done. Anchor on the far right, this is basically a podcast content creator. It's sponsored by Spotify. I came across Anchor because NPR sponsored it with their Student Podcast Challenge. And so it's an easy way for students to go through and do a podcast. It allows them an easy management and layout. It's something new and a little bit different. I'm finding more and more students enjoy listening to podcasts, so this gives them an opportunity to create it. And so again, all 4 of these sites are creating artifacts made by our students to share their learning with others. The final 4 pieces I wanted to show you at the bottom, these are just some Gen Ed tools. They do a lot of different things. Mentimeter on the far left, it's a great little program that basically it allows you to engage with your audience. You can create polls, you can create questions, word clouds. Students love it. I gave you a short little video clip and a link to the site. Absolutely encourage you to look into Mentimeter. It is completely 100% free and worth your time. Canva is a graphic design tool. This gives students the opportunity. They can make infographics or posters or social media posts. Again, it's free. You can upgrade it to different premium pieces, but everything that they have available to you is exactly what you need. It's user friendly, and it would allow students, again, to create some of these artifacts for their work. Pear Deck is something that I have incorporated into my classroom, and my students love it. It's an extension tool for Google Slides, and it allows you to basically work in formative questions and assessments. Their favorite component is that there's one that allows them to draw, and they love it and they enjoy it and they have a good time with it. But this is just a great way if you have to do some presenting on a topic. Now you can make it a little bit more engaging, and students are keeping up with you. It also collects the data on those questions, so you can see if a student has missed a topic that maybe you were discussing. And finally, TeacherMade. TeacherMade is fairly new. What it allows you to do is upload any type of PDF that you might have, and you have the ability to add pieces on it that will make it digital. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have a PDF of a test that you want to use. You can upload it to TeacherMade. TeacherMade has it to where you can go in and insert the multiple choice bubbles. So it's just a simple tool that will take something maybe you already have, and instead of having to make an answer key for it or a multiple choice test for it, you can go through and use TeacherMade. It's cool. It's kind of a neat little thing. It's a lot of digital activities again, but they collect all that data for you and present it at the very end. So there are so many tools, and this is only a few of them. I think total I gave you maybe 15 tools. There are hundreds of them, but I did want to show you these are some of the ones that I've used in my classroom. They have worked. They have worked effectively. And I found a lot of success with my students. Remember, in the world of ELA, we're trying to create lifelong learners and problem solvers, and a great way to do that is to begin by allowing them the opportunity to create and research and explore and solve the problems in the world around them. So let's use the technology available to us to do so.